Oh, I gotta stop. I'm sorry, Kenny. I gotta turn it over to you. I apologize.
Okay, no worries. No worries. Appreciate it. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Let me know if I don't know how to fix this, but I'm in a man cave here. Again, I just wanted to do a quick background, short history of the Chituka Village project. Others know it as Banda Bola Sports Foundation. But before it was a foundation, it was a Chituka Village project. And that being said, I come from Chituka Village in Malawi, which is Northern Malawi. I grew up in Chituka Village from when I was attending grade 1 through 5. I went to school in Malengamzoma Primary School in Chituka Village. The background of Chituka Village is that my father, at that time, in the 50s and the 60s, he was a political activist against the colonization by the British. So he was well known in our district, or of course in our country, as an activist. Not only that, his background also comes from a royal family. In terms of our district or our village, we have chiefs. We belong to a royal family of chieftains. So we're inheritance of Malengamzoma chieftaincy. So being a leader of the political movement, he was also a leader as part of our chieftaincy. So his background was that he was respected in that terms. So being born in Malawi, growing up in that environment, I learned how to probably see what my father and my mother were doing in terms of helping the country, helping the people, and making sure that Malawi became independent from the British and self-government. So on the grassroots is where my dad was working, canvassing, and making sure that the local people understood why the federation was no good, even though a lot of people thought the federation was a good thing. They liked it because the British were helping us, but not knowing that they were taking stuff out of the country more than they were helping us. And so that was a tough situation. So as I grew up in Chituka Village, I took a liking to playing games. And soccer is one of those sports that I love to do with my friends. We just played. There was no mention of going to high school or going to college, getting a scholarship. As a matter of fact, people who were playing sports in those days, even now, they're the people who really have no aspiration of going to school. They just want to play. All right. So that's where the Chituka Village now has come to be. As I was playing, and my father, as I was growing, and my father was busy doing his activism, in 1964, Malawi became independent. And the first parliament, which is here the equivalent of Congress, my father was elected to be member of parliament, like a congressman. So he was in parliament as the first group of the government of Malawi Congress Party, and the first group of African countries to be independent from the British. That was 1964 when we became independent. At that time, I think they were trying to be democratic, but as time and history can tell you, is that the president, Kamuzu Banda, no relation to me, when he became president in 1964, a few months after independence, few months after first the parliament, he dissolved parliament. And he kicked out a lot of the member of parliament, ministers. And my father was one of those people that he kicked out. And then it became politically, it became more of a dictatorship, even though he wasn't telling people that way, because he was the president was saying, I am the leader, and what I say goes. And so he kicked out the whole cabinet, he changed it. So we come from Northern Malawi, and that's where the whole problem was. Because we come from Northern Malawi, when the independence was happening, a lot of Northern Malawians were very educated in terms of understanding the political landscape. So when he dissolved government, most Northern leadership were kicked out of the party. So my father was put under house arrest. So we went back to the village. And as a matter of fact, people were told that if they see my dad somewhere, do away with him anywhere you want. So most of the people who were kicked out of the country and out of government, they ran away until they defected. They went in exile. But my father never did that. He stuck it out. And he apologized to the president. Within the months, the president appointed him to be a diplomat in Germany. But history tells you that the president was notorious of sending people abroad to be diplomat as part of their exile. But nobody was saying that. But if you look at the history, go backwards, this is what he was doing. So a lot of people who came from the North were in a leadership position. He sent them to become diplomats in countries that he couldn't hear from, and who couldn't affect the people, local people, about their whereabouts or where these people are. And some of them were killed. Some of them were detained. Most of them, they ran away and they went in exile. But a majority of the people were killed or were detained. So that's the background of my family. So when we came to Germany, we spent a year and a half. And Dad asked the government if we could move to America or England or Canada, where this English-speaking country, so that his children can be educated quicker than he thought. Because he knew that the president, anytime he can change his mind and call you back with no excuses. So he figured if we go to an English-speaking country and all of us, his children, 5 of us, can be educated in English-speaking country, we might gain we might gain something to bring back to the country, or we might be able to help our people or help our family and with education and so forth. So sure enough, he was granted to come to America, his wish. And we came here, we spent high school in Mamaroneck, New York. My father was a minister at United Nations in New York, representing Malawi. And he did that. And I went to high school in Mamaroneck, New York with my brothers, with my sisters. In high school, I started playing sports. I was good at the soccer. Then I learned how to do track and field. My friend taught me how to do track and field. I did that. Next thing I knew, I was getting a scholarship to go to University of New York, Newport. At that time, Malawi was also bringing a lot of students to come abroad to be educated, to bring back Malawi, to raise Malawi at a high level. So a lot of students were getting these AID scholarships to come to US. I think was developed by President Kennedy. And so a lot of them were given scholarship to come to the United States. So when my uncle, who was a minister at that time, he came to visit us at the house in New York. He was in charge of these scholarships. So he came to our house in New York when he came to visit the United Nations, and he asked my dad, says, what are your family doing? Who's doing what? When they came to me and they said, oh, Kenny's going to university, and he got a scholarship to play soccer and run track and field. And my uncle says, whoa, time out. What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, he's very good. So I show him my trophies, and he saw everything. And he goes, well, I got a program for you. I'm sending 3 Malawi students from Malawi to go to University of Massachusetts to study sports, because we want to improve our youth in Malawi. And you could be the leader of this group, because they don't know anything about America. They don't know anything about American sports. So you could help identify what things that they should be doing and how you guys can come back to Malawi, become the leaders of these programs. And basically, maybe you become probably a director or national coach or that stuff. So I said, so that is, what do you mean? He said, well, I can give him a scholarship. to go to University of Massachusetts. So he says, how much is that going to be? He says, well, it's everything. We pay for everything plus allowance. And he says, oh, okay. So I don't have to pay anything. He said, no. He goes, my son, I think you're going to Massachusetts. So we're going to have to sign you up. Let the people at Newport know that you're going to Massachusetts. So I got a scholarship to go to UMass. Long story short, I was there, got my scholarship. And when it's time to go back home, at that time, my dad had retired. So I was a class of 1975. My dad went back home in 74. But when he went back home, people remembered him as one of the people who were defecting Malawi. Even though he became a diplomat, the leadership in Malawi knew that this guy, this Banda, was not part of the regime. So instead of giving him another position, they never gave him anything. So he was forced to retire with no retirement money at all, zero. So he went back to the village and just became a subsistence farmer. And thank God my brothers and sisters were there. They helped him economically. So he stayed there until I came back to Malawi in 1975 after graduation. And I went back to the government to find out where my job was. And I was told that they didn't know who I was. They said, who are you? Where have you been? So I become being interrogated. And I'm saying, wait a minute, where's my uncle who gave me the scholarship? He was in detention. So I couldn't go see him to say, can you explain to them who I am? They said, your uncle is no longer part of the regime. He's in detention. So if you want to go see him, go ahead, but he's not going to help you. And so I stuck around and I asked my dad, I asked my mom, what should I do? So I went ahead and saw my uncle in detention. I asked him, what happened? He goes, well, they detained me. They thought I was against the president. And so I can't help you, but why don't you go do X, Y, Z, see if you can meet this guy, that guy. So I went. Next thing I knew, they had to demote my scholarship, my professional understanding. They gave me something that I would say was not my equivalent of my professional job. So I stuck it out. And before I knew it, I was made national coach, I was made Olympic coach, but the idea of staying there was very scary because I came from the northern region where my father was. When I came to America, my father was detained and people had no trust in Northerners, but they thought we were against the president of Malawi. So my job was very difficult for me to hang around and to deal with it. So I decided that I would come back to America at some point and see if I can resurrect my life and become what I wanted to be. So sure enough, I resigned from the government with the idea that going underground, not to be seen as being against the government. Then I said to myself, I need to go back to university. So I applied, for visa to come to the United States. At that time, my fiance, the late Martha, helped me get the visa. And the long story short, I pretty much had to lie my way out of there. I pretended I was married to an American woman. And I forged all my documents at the point that I thought if they catch me, I'm going to be going to prison or they kill me. So I took a chance and I was able to get out of Malawi on a fake documentation and ended up coming here and meeting then my fiance and getting married. And I said, now I need a job. Where should I go? So I started asking people. Then I did get a job at the University of Massachusetts and I started coaching. Fast forward, now I've been here for all these years. I've gotten about 4 different jobs. And by that time, I didn't want to go back to Malawi. And I got married here and with an American woman. And I had 3 kids. And I said, I'm not going to go back with the way they treated me, the way they treated my father. I'm no longer going to be part of that regime. And Malawi was under dictatorship. So the chance of me going back was not a good idea. So I just said, that's it. I was able to stay here and get my jobs, and I became good at it. And at the end of the day, my mother dies. Then I'm saying, how do I go back there? You know, I pretty much defected. You know, there's no way if I go back there, they might arrest me or put me in detention. So we had to find a way, how do I go to my mother's funeral? And so I did go back, and using, you know, other means to get in there. They told me don't stay more than 48 hours, go to the funeral, get it done, and fly back to America. And that's exactly what I did. So I went back, I went to the funeral, and I saw what was going on. And we buried our mother. I came back here. And of course, my heart was broken. I wanted to be there. I wanted to stay there with my village people, but it was scary under those circumstances. So I came back. A year later, my father dies. And now I'm saying, at that time, Malawi was becoming more of a, democratic. The president of Malawi was being kicked out. So I figured maybe this time might be better to go back and kind of see the landscape, what's going on, what's my chance of going back in the future. So I went back there, my father's funeral, and sure enough, things were not the same. People were speaking out against the government. So within those 3 days I was there for my father's funeral, I learned a lot, that maybe I need to come back and mourn the death of my mom, my dad properly, and then find out what was going on. What can I do to help my village and with my people? So I did that. I came back and I told my wife, I said, I need to go back. I didn't mourn my relatives proper, and I need to find out what's going on. I'll take a chance. And so I did. A year or two later, I went back to Malawi, and you know, hoping that nothing bad will happen to me. And sure enough, Malawi became democratic at that time. So I was able to look around, and I found out that the children in the village at that time, HIV has come rampant. So most children had no parents. People had died with no support, no help. So I said, I'm a sports guy. What can I do to help my village? So I came up with the idea of a Chituka Village project. And I said, I'm going to go back to America and start a Chituka Village project where I can bring soccer balls so the kids can play, because right now they're scared of HIV, AIDS, and most of their parents are dying. So I came back here to start Chituka Village project. And I started collecting soccer balls, uniforms, and so I could go back and donate it to the schools. So that's how I became Banda Bola Sports Foundation. So I came back here, asked my friends, I need to have a foundation. How can you help me? They said, we'll help you. So you can bring stuff to your house, to your village. So I began doing that. So it's been almost since the I would say now it's 20 years I've been doing this. So I've been sending containers of equipment to Malawi, and I've done about 4 containers now. And I've helped we started one school. Now I've gone out to doing about 30, 40 schools. And of course, now we're suspending the program because of the pandemic, but we want to restart again. During this time, I'm trying to get known. People don't know who I am. Some people don't know who I am. So because of my background, I'm able to at least support my village and the people near my village, make sure their children go to school. And for you to be in this program, you must go to school. You must be in school. And therefore, we can do the programs for each school in our district. Mainly it's in my district. So it's not in the city. It's not in areas where they already had enough. So this is a rural area. Banda Bola was designed to help people near Chituka Village area. So that's why it's called Chituka Village Project. Because people know my father, they know my tribe, they know who I am, and I was able to at least to explain why I want to do this program. It's to help the children attend school, to stay in school, and finish 8th grade. That's all. Because most of them, they don't finish school. Most girls, they get pregnant before they finish school. Most children die before they finish primary school, which is middle school. And because of disease, there's no hospitals, there's no running water, there's no electricity, and it's been going on up until now. So this is my background. This is what I do, is that I bring awareness to where I come from. I'm not a rich guy. I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. I'm an activist, probably, more so than anything else, and bring awareness. So to a point where I help especially girls. We want girls because most girls, they get pregnant before they finish 5th grade. And they get married off. For them to do sports is unheard of. They don't understand why they should be doing soccer. They didn't know that I was a women's soccer coach in America, national coach of the year for girls soccer in America. They had no clue. I had to kind of hide that, not to let them know who I was in terms of a coaching, because I didn't want people to go against me that, why are you teaching girls to play soccer? What kind of guy are you? What are you trying to do to the girls? So it took them a while to understand where I'm coming from. So now we're at the point where we have developed a program, which is now Banda Bola Sports Foundation. I was able to get, 501c3 with the help of my friends here in America. So we have a foundation. So this foundation, it helps schools to identify children to attend schools, to help the schools to make a school environment a good place to be, because they can play sports, mainly soccer, because they don't have a program. They don't have a budget to hire coaches. They don't have a budget to have equipment. There's nothing, there's zero. I'm the only one who's giving out equipment or soccer balls. All I'm trying to do was give out soccer balls to the schools. Next thing I know, I'm giving out uniforms. Next thing I know, I'm giving out books, notebooks, pens, and clothing. And so things of that have grown to a point where now it's a foundation. It's become a foundation. That's why I collect equipment. I ask for donation. I'm a nonprofit. The idea was started off because of my background, where I come from in my village, because my father, the way his background, my mother, the way their background. So I come from a village or society. My mother's side, her father, her grandfather was a reverend, was a minister. We still are. My father's side, they're more of a leader, they're politicians. So I'm able to put those two things together and be understood. Some people refuse me, some people welcomed me, some people don't want the program, some people want the programs. So it's been difficult, but it's been good. It's been fulfilling. I'm able to go back home now, even though I didn't want to go back. When my father died and when my mother died, I said, I'll go back. Because before that, I had said, I'm never going to go back, because when I left Malawi in 77 to come back here and assume the name, I didn't want to go back. I defected. So Malawi wasn't a place where I want to be. But I went back because mom and dad passed away. Then I wanted to help my village. That's why I went back. I took a chance. And now I'm doing a foundation for the children in my village. And that's my story. And I'm sticking to it.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Isn't it amazing that a little boy like you in a village could end up coming here and doing so much good back there? I bet you never imagined anything like that.
Well, yes, they were asking me, why are you doing it? Why are you coming back here? You're comfortable in America, just stay there. Don't come back here. And they still tell me that. I said, why are you gonna go back and come back? Just stay there, and that's it. We're used to this. This is who we are. So unfortunately, that's not who I am. And my father, my mom taught us lessons that we have to help our people. And
we're so proud that you're one of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jean said, when did you become a Rotarian?
Oh yeah, Luan Pena knows the story. I think I was looking, I was frustrated because I wasn't getting anywhere when I was trying to become, I was trying to have a foundation. I was speaking in different groups of schools, and then one day somebody suggested I should speak to Rotarians. They might understand you better, or Lions Club, they might understand you better. This is what they do. So yeah, so I came around, I put together a list of all the Rotary clubs in the capital district. I started speaking to all different Rotarians. So one day I was invited to speak at the Glenfield Rotary Club. It was Ron Pena was there. Then I spoke there, and Ron came after me and says, you should join our club. I'm going, I don't know how to do that. I said, yeah, no. We can help you better if you join our club. Or you join Rotary. But I think our club will be good for you. I said, oh, so that's how I became a Rotarian. Because of Ron Pena reached out to me. And I became a Glenville Rotary Club member. And then when Ron Pena left Glenville, I followed him to Niskayuna.
A quick question for you.
Yes.
Did you happen to know Mr. John Chippenbetter?
Of course. He was with my father, the same government, the same climate.
Oh, that was a friend of mine.
Well, yeah, that's the Chippenbetter family. Some of them got killed, and he ran away. And the same time my father was under house arrest, Chippenbetter had to run for his life.
Wow, he was working here in Albany.
I know. It's another story. Yeah, he was part of the first government of Malawi that became independent. And the Kamuzu kicked him out of the country. So him and his family ran for their lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
He wasn't telling us all the stories.
Yeah, when I came to Albany, I met him. I met one of his brothers, Johnny Chippenbetter. So the guy was here, was the brother of the original Chippenbetter, who was the minister. That was his brother. The guy with John was here, was just his brother. But being part of the family, they all ran away for their lives. So he ended up being here.
Yeah, when he died, I organized a funeral for him.
Yes,
I met the wife. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In Albany.
Yeah.
A lot of his children showed up.
I met you because I was around when he was dying. I was here.
Oh, you were here.
I was here already. Yeah.
Okay.
I met him. He welcomed me. Him and his family. He had a young wife and everything. Yeah.
Yes. Cynthia.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add something that Kenny mentioned to me before. Chituka Village is in Northern Malawi, which is the poorest part of Malawi. And Kenny has referred to me as his village being in the bush.
Yeah.
So that's pretty stark reality.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Where I come from, even now, there's no running water, there's no electricity for many other people. So we're still going through those changes. So we're trying to survive and the best we can. Thank you.
So are you getting along now with the new leader, the current leader?
Oh yeah. I'm in there. I can when I go home, I just spend hours with the Minister of Education, the Minister of Sports. Yeah, I'm free now. I can walk around the whole area, no problem.
Kenny, I had the opportunity to visit the Willard School, taking Kenny over there to meet with the administrators there and talk about how they might actually expand Kenny's program to include some exchange students from Willard and go over there in the summertime to help them with the projects, learn about Malawi, and help get the uniforms and equipment over there too, and be a part of the Willard students' education. So they're quite interested in hearing about the program, and it looks like maybe there was something more that happens there too. That was very encouraging to hear.
Thank you.
I know we need to close.